Commerce and Industry Ministry has been one of the most active ministries in the Modi administration, be it the Make in India campaign, be it a new foreign trade policy and numerous initiatives related to the foreign direct investment. This ministry basically has led the reforms agenda of the Modi administration. And to talk about the road ahead, we are being joined by Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. Let me start with the pharma sector, because you had a meeting regarding the pharma sector and how to protect our interests in the international markets as far as the pharma sector is concerned. And we understand that several issues were discussed, including that of a think tank to protect our interests as far as the pharma sector is concerned. Can you share some details on the strategy as far as protecting Indian interests in the global pharma market is concerned?
Well, the pharma sector actually has already made a great impact in the international market. It is not as if we are forming a separate think tank for it. Already the think tank which is working on IPR, which has submitted its report about which we've spoken earlier, has also commented on the pharma sector, the need for, not specifically in pharma, but need for innovations, how to help innovations and so on. So that review meeting, I hope is not given a kind of a indication that a separate think tank is being formed. Not at all. The think tank on IPR has also commented on pharma.
As far as the pharma sector is concerned, it's not having good experience in significant markets like United States or be it European Union. And many experts within India believe that there is a negative campaign being run against the Indian pharma sector. So going forward, ma'am, in such a scenario, how does India take care of its interests in such huge markets for the pharma sector?
First thing, we have made a big impact in the US market and also in the European Union. Talking about European Union, it is important for us to know that in the last 1 year, because of some regulatory constraints, nearly 700 of our pharma producers are affected adversely based on not on pharmacological evidence of how it's going to affect the patients. In fact, many of those 700 are still being used in the European Union, but a ban of sorts has been now brought on a particular company, particular products affecting nearly 700. We fear there could be this adverse campaign about clinical trials and the quality of clinical trials and so on. And on that too, on this particular instance of the ban, we have, I think, engaged with the European Union and their regulatory bodies at various levels through our officials. And I had also raised this issue when I met with the trade representative of the European Union.
Recently, you have postponed talks with the European Union regarding this FTA, citing the instance of this particular case where European Union banned around 700 Indian drugs. Now, is going to WTO Dispute Settlement Board an option if talks do not fructify, if there is no way forward in bilateral talks?
At the moment, we had taken this considered call of deferring these talks, which I was keen to start off, because since 2003, if I'm right, talks have been going on for this BTIA with the European Union. Nearly 15 rounds had completed till before this new government came in last year. And European Union has been also questioning us as to saying, are you keen on doing it? I was keen, I have been keen, I am keen. And in fact, when I met the trade representative of the EU, Ms. Cecilia Malmström, I indicated that it is for the two of us to have our chief negotiators to start the talks
and engage again.
Right. That happened, and even during that meeting, I had raised the question about our drugs and the various levels of engagement, and as to why is there this difficulty to sort that problem out. Post that, without even much of an answer coming back to us. And I may, if I'm right, I may add, our Prime Minister during his visit to France also had raised this issue of, why is there a problem about a particular company or nearly 700 drugs being questioned and so on. So we've not had any concrete answers coming.
Talking about FTAs, we have had several of them, including one with ASEAN, Japan, South Korea. The steel and aluminium industry is facing the heat. They claim that the cheap imports of metals is impacting that industry. Now, we all know the kind of state the domestic steel industry is in. So going forward, ma'am, what are the options with us as far as the steel industry is concerned? Because they claim that it is cheap imports from FTA-related countries, which is basically harming the domestic sector, especially in the steel sector. What are the tools that can be used, or is there any thought within the ministry itself?
I would want to give you a very calibrated response for this. Indian steel industry exists and has been here for a long time, and steel is a very important component in many of our units which link to the value chain with China, and therefore cheap steel as a raw product coming for those small units which produce other products based on the input steel also are in the picture. Before I get into the details there, FTA-related fears is something on which I would just want to give you just two statistics.
Right.
The imports coming out of FTA, let us take the example of Malaysia, for instance, has not even reached a 6% level. If imports are really coming in from Malaysia or from any of these countries with whom we have a FTA, and that is really flooding our market, and as a result of which we have to be cautious about protecting our units, I understand, but 6% after the FTA is signed.
Which means there is an overcapacity within the domestic sector itself.
Or all that I want to just put on record is there's not such a flush of imports. I'm taking the example of Malaysia. Now take the example of Korea. Again, another country with which we have an FTA agreement. 29% is what is the import. Sizable, I agree. But also getting cheaper raw material through the FTAs has been one of the important features which cannot be negated. And who's getting the cheaper raw material? Many of our small and medium units which procure these cheap raw materials, which give a lot of employment, which produce and sell within the country, or in some few cases may also export.
Right.
Now for them, if that steel is cheaper and if it's affordable, should we also take care of their interest, or just raise the duties continuously in such a way that we are protecting one section of the steel, which is important, I agree. I'm not saying we shouldn't take care of them. One section of the steel industry whose product, the steel, is more expensive compared to the cheaper imports which are coming in. If comparable qualities are what I'm talking about. Maybe there are cheaper imports which are inferior in quality. I'm not trying to compare them. But if cheaper, comparable raw materials are available, am I here to protect one section of the steel industry, which is important, I need to do that. But would it be at a disadvantage to a larger section which is also wanting the cheap raw material because they can produce, they can employ, they can sell, if at a competitive rate because of the cheap import? So this is the situation which is complex, which is bringing in cheaper raw material, which to the units which are an important component in the value chain related to these products, and also the cheaper imports are affecting our own steel industry, for whom their market is being taken away. So there is therefore a need for us to balance every such argument. Where there is a call for raise the duty, stop the import, I also have enough number of voices which tell me, oh no, don't raise the duties because we need those cheap imports, we'll be better off.
Right.
So we are definitely in a situation where the market realities are definitely playing up, and we have to ensure that Indian industries, be they large, be they small, will have to be taken care of.
Talking about exports, there is a very big puzzle which not many experts have been able to decipher, and that is regarding the 9-month continuous fall in exports at a time when actually the dollar is favorable for the exporters. You also released the foreign trade policy, and yet we are seeing this fall in exports. So are we then, should we get ready for a scenario where exports will keep on falling for some time? What is the sense that you get as far as overall export scenario is concerned?
See, exports are falling. I'm not trying to shift the blame. Let's be clear. Let's have the real picture before us. Exports are falling for various reasons, many of which are outside our control. Out of, let us say, 25 countries where majorly we export, 18 are going through economic, in a sense, crisis. Their GDP rates are falling. Their growth is affected very badly. As a result of which, in those 18 out of 25 countries, the demand is also not getting newly refurbished.
On that note, we'll take a short break. Stay tuned.